At the start of every week, I've gotten into the habit of hitting the ground running, with a number of projects I've previously scripted out, or God forbid start from scratch and spend the soul-rendering task of making an idea rise up from the primordial clay. What does it have to do with the fine contestants that have gone out here and laid it all out on the line for you? That I can empathize with these fine gentlemen and their labor of staying consistent and contributing members to the community. I'm sure glad I didn't have to give the voting numbers because I screwed up the counting at least twice. But I ran the approximate numbers at some of my peers, and I'm certain the placing is right. Some of you still managed to fuck up the voting by voting twice, that being for the exact same person, or even voting for people who weren't even in the tournament to begin with, when all you had to do was write one name down. But I digress. Growing and evolving, learning and faltering, and regaining your footing is something we all have to learn to do as individuals and content creators. It's better to fall down and get up than to never have tried in the first place. That falling down is in regards sadly to me. I always feel like I'm sorely lacking, that somehow I missed some detail, that I'm not looking with a wider lens, and the matters I'm focused on are a little too destructive and self-indulgent. But the venue to discuss such matters shouldn't be here, and this is a time for celebration, a time for the fandom to look at the works of its best and brightest. Throughout the time of Analysis Daily, the winners have mostly remained hungry, committed, determined, and innovative. Keiichi Keen has learned to grow as an artist, an editor, a co-host, and figurehead in the community. And when she finds her muse again, someday she'll continue to reach for the heavens and land at least among the stars. Sapphire Heartsong's talent has grown by leaps and bounds. I can safely say some of her most recent work is among the finest that she's ever done, but this is easily a conservative 9 out of 10. And this should remind aspiring content creators that great things don't happen overnight. They take practice, practice, practice. British Ninja sure hangs out in a lot of Skype rooms, and has found his niche as the sidekick and best friend of the Brony fandom. And after all, it's a fandom around friendship, so why the hell not? Y2K Toon Critic, known for his adventurous side, his bold, refreshing charisma, and the raw nerve to stand up for what he feels is right, is an amazing figurehead among the community. Lightening Bliss, who's never short on talent, lacking in good grace, or diminutive in cheer. What she lacks in stature, she more than makes up in character. And for this round of Analysis Daily, I've brought Keiichi FIM to speak on my behalf on Golden Fox.
This is Golden Fox. He's orange. You know what else is orange? Orange soda. And orange soda is awesome. Golden Fox is orange like orange soda. Therefore, he is also awesome. Congratulations on your win, Golden Fox. I look forward to trolling you in your awards video.
Now that we have that out of the way, in all honesty, I've watched many of these fine artists, and analysts alike, grow and learn. Even Alicorn Jeff over here, who's slowly turning into Celestian, which, and by that I mean he's doing nothing now, Brawny, Finn, and Tricky have no shame to come in second, third, and fourth, to a man who easily had one of the harshest paths to the finish. Whether it had been over Manga Common, former Analysis Daily champion Toon Critic in the second round, or the Brony Darling and overall sweetheart Keyframe. Golden Fox was just destined to be this time. I would encourage Brawny to continue to try and find a balance between his humor and insight. Finn to simply dig deeper, and Tricky just to keep updating his art every 2 days like Tyandaga did until he got to 20k subs. I don't have much to add to Tricky as I feel his formula is already working. Golden Fox, you are now the Ninja Warrior.
Psh, this is Analysis Daily, sir.
Oh, right. Golden Fox, you have bested all your peers, friend and foe alike. You've done so with class, dignity, and most of all experience, which I didn't agree with every stance, but I can safely say that this man didn't sugarcoat his thoughts, nor did he turn away from being challenged.
This is something I find rather morally powerful in that regard. One of the major things to point out too is how a story or a conflict can impact someone. What they experience in a story is whether a movie or a book or an episode of the show is also something they can think about and take a lesson off of. Which is why I'm heavily fixated on morals, especially how much I ranted on what AJ said in Super Speedy. What this episode carries is actually something I've noticed personally in life. Throughout the entire runtime of the show, Luna has been regretful of her past actions, as well as fearing what everyone else thinks of her. However, she immediately accepted and forgave herself, thus holding back the Tantipus and moving back into Luna herself. While it's admittedly rushed, this is something I can take for granted because it shows how one person can learn to forgive themselves. Myself included, there have been a number of people who have been hard on themselves from what past actions they've had, and it's been difficult to move on. It isn't simple, but it's something worth thinking about and what you can do to better yourself.
Golden Fox simply isn't just the winner of Analysis Daily, but his recent history is a roadmap on how to brony. I know I personally would do well to follow his personal example if I could ever learn to behave myself. I've had people ask me, why did you ever forgive so-and-so? If Golden Fox can forgive Misanthropony, we can all find someone difficult to forgive. A man who's remained energetic about the show, almost to a fault. What that fault would be, I would be hard-pressed to find. I want to thank everyone who came out and voted, who watched the videos, who made their own, whether it be Caps Locks, Brawny, Finn, Kichi, Misanthropony, Heather Blossom, Lightning Bliss, Manga Common, Finn, Grey Silvermane, Y2K Toon Critic, Sketchy, and obviously Golden Fox. Agan Naga for her lovely art, Keyframe, if I'm forgetting anyone, DeWilsonator, Deckard Spade, etc., etc. I sort of wish this was someone else's show just so I can compete fairly, but at the very least I can give this to my peers. Some of whom aren't just my peers, I'm just really surprised and impressed on how educated the fans have been along the way. I had this crazy idea of doing 64 contestants next time. Hopefully I come to my senses before then. Thank you all if this is the last time. It's been a pleasure and a privilege.